I'm Mark Neuenschwander, and I've been thinking. I've been thinking about weekends and positive product ID. Consider the weekend in the life of this do-it-yourselfer. After my third trip in 2 days to Lowe's Home Improvement, I discovered that one of the nuts did not match one of the bolts I had purchased to repair my gate. Had another backyard warrior put the nut in the wrong bin on aisle 5? Nut? Perhaps it was an unattended child rearranging inventory, or an employee whose mind was elsewhere while stocking the bins. It really doesn't matter. I had to make a fourth trip. Nuts. Speaking of fourth, the fourth lesson Robert Fulghum says we should have learned back in kindergarten fits nicely here. Put things back where you found them. My dad has practiced and preached this rule for 87 of his years. A place for everything, he insists, and everything in its place. I tell you, the man has CDO. That's OCD in alphabetical order, the way he would have it. I often thought Pops would have made a good hospital pharmacist. In any instance, like nuts and bolts in hardware stores, drugs in hospitals are sometimes placed in the wrong compartments. Whether picking bins in central pharmacies or storage pockets in automated dispensing cabinets, or even patient cassettes on nursing units. Consider now a weekend in the life of a morphine tablet. Friday afternoon, McKesson delivers 10, 20 blister packs of morphine ER 60 milligram tablets, which are immediately put in the pharmacy's narcotics vault. On Sunday morning, 220 blister packs are pulled from the vault, transported to the west wing of the second floor, and placed in an automated dispensing cabinet, or an ADC. In the afternoon, a nurse pulls one morphine tablet from the ADC for patient McAfee in 210. By the time she arrives, the pain has subsided, he refuses the med, and she returns the unused blister to the ADC. Sunday morning, another nurse pulls the same morphine blister from the ADC and gives it to patient McMiniman in room 204. One small glitch. The first nurse accidentally returned the 60 milligram ER blister to the 60 milligram SR pocket. And because ER tablets release over 24 hours and SR tablets release over 12 hours, McMiniman receives twice the dose his doctor ordered. Now that's a trip most patients wouldn't want to take. And if they did, probably shouldn't. The right strengths and formulations of the right drugs must always be stored in the right locations. Failing any one of these rights is a setup for violating the patient's right to get the medication his doctor ordered. Now, as meticulous as pharmacists are, they do make errors. Why, even my dad's made his share of return trips to hardware stores after schlepping home the wrong item, and it wasn't always someone else's fault. Finally, consider a weekend in London. Say that'd be nice. American tourists in London do well to heed the painted warnings underfoot between the platforms and trains throughout the color-coded labyrinth of the famed underground. Mind the gap. Perhaps more importantly, pedestrians above ground do well to heed the painted curbs at nearly every intersection. Look right. I've had my close calls with those stealth red double-deckers zipping along the British side of the street. I'd imagine one misstep could ruin a trip to the Royal City. For 15 years, like a stuck record, some would say, I've warned about the distance and distractions between points of dispensing and points of administering medications. I've appealed to hospitals everywhere to implement barcode verification scanning at the point of care for matching medications with the right patients. In other words, to mind the gap. However, I have not been as diligent in appealing to pharmacists, technicians, and nurses to employ barcode scanning to positively identify products at every storage and retrieval intersection on the drug's trip from the loading dock to 2 West. Unfortunately, some healthcare professionals have imagined that if they have implemented barcode verification systems at the point of care, they can cut themselves some slack during the distribution and dispensing legs of the journey. However, I'd suggest that's a bit like London tourists minding the gap on train platforms while failing to look right at intersections, with one slight difference. Someone else's life is being put at risk. I'm Mark Neuenschwander. That's what I've been thinking. What do you think?